first page of the handout is an audit exhibit B2. The B2 exhibit is basically your profit and loss statement for the year. And what I've done with this exhibit, the audits are on a one-year basis only. So for this particular handout, the B2 exhibit that I'm showing you now is this year's B2 from the audit compared to last year's audit. And what I'm trying to show you is where your increases are, where your decreases are, what's good and what's bad. As far as revenues are concerned, we have about $506,000 less revenues than we had last year. Some of the items were, the biggest item was a decrease in grant funds, which was the Ed Foundation that gave you money for the auditorium improvements. That was the biggest item. Expenditures actually were down by $932,000 compared to last year, which is a real positive. A lot of decreases in expenditures and a couple of nominal increases. One large increase was capital outlay, but that's determined by the school's needs, so it's something you can't compare to year. Overall, our surplus took a decrease last year of $778,000 because of the fact that we did transfer money to capital projects, which are approved by the state of New Jersey, which we will get back 40% funding from. We also utilized money to offset the tax increase to help the taxpayers. The second handout page there's an audit exhibit J4, which has 8 columns, which is in the audit books, but the handout page has the middle 8 columns taken away. I'm just comparing the current year to the year 2005. This page is kind of frustrating to a point. We're showing that the general purpose tax levy has increased over that 10-year period of time by $6 million, which is roughly 39%. One thing to look at on the revenue areas from the state of New Jersey and the federal government, there's an increase of $175,000 over that 10-year period of time. When you compare that to the total amount that the state and the federal government has given us, that's really a nominal increase. So really what's happening, the fact that the state and the federal government has not kept up with our needs, we've had to raise the real estate taxes in order to provide the services that you are. And just sitting in the audience tonight, the stuff that I've heard and seen in previous visits, I know what kind of product is coming out of here, but somebody's got to pay for it. And we're not getting the support from the state or federal government. Looking at the bottom half, which is the expenditures for that 10-year period of time, most of the expenditures are really relatively good. We have a couple of items that stand out as far as increases, and you're not uncommon. The employee benefit area has doubled. It's a 100% increase over that 10-year period of time, which is primarily health insurance, even though the teachers are committing some of their resources back into the insurance program. Special education tuition has increased considerably over that 10-year period of time, not only through the budget, but also through the grant funds that are utilized. We have an increase in special education costs, something the school district really has no control over, of $1,465,000 over that 10-year period of time, a 121% increase. Other areas are showing decreases or nominal increases over that period, which shows an effort on the school district to control cost. But because of the lack of support from the federal government and state government, again, we really had no choice but to raise taxes. The one concern that I do have is the amount of surplus that has decreased over the last 2 years. We had a decrease of $1,352,000 over that 2-year period of time. For 2 reasons. We did use surplus funds, again, for the capital project transfer, so we can accomplish the window project and the security projects going on, and also taxpayer relief. At the end of 2013, there was approximately $955,000 that was earmarked as budget revenue or surplus in order to balance your budget. That saved the taxpayers 18 cents. Now, 18 cents doesn't sound like much, but 1 cent on a $100,000 home is $10. So the 18 cents is $180 savings in school taxes on a $100,000 assessment. The higher the assessment, the $180 is going to increase accordingly. The audit itself, which is about 100 pages, has a lot of useless pages. I pulled out, I think, the stuff that's most interesting or should be interesting to the board members to identify what's happening within your school district. A couple of pages from the audit that are semi-interesting is the impact of what you have to work with as far as taxes. For the people who have audits with them, on page 102 is an analysis of assessed values of Highland Park for the last 10 years. Now, we have not had a revaluation here in many years, and basically what the county of Middlesex says is you're assessed approximately at 50% of the true values of your homes. So looking at the exhibit, every $54,000 that goes into the budget is 1 cent on the tax rate. So it doesn't take much to impact taxes with the amount of assessed values that are on the books right now. That's the 1 cent that I was telling you about. 1 cent, $10 for every 54,000 expended. And the last page I wanted to highlight is page 103, which is the tax rate increase over that 10-year period of time. Taxes are up about 39%. Of the three components, the school, the town, and the county, you were the lowest percentage increase at 36%. All of you are pretty close, but you are the lowest of the three, percentage-wise. So you are trying to control costs, but the only problem that I have is the nervous feeling that I have, the amount of surplus that is being used going down. So it's a balancing act you have to work with. Eventually that surplus is going to be much smaller than it is now, and there's going to be a lot left in reserve, a lot less to put into reserve. Short enough?